What is going on, world? What's up, everyone? It's Zero here. I hope all of you are having a fantastic day so far, and I am extremely excited, ladies and gentlemen, to be bringing you all the very first, or I should say the second episode of the 8 Below podcast. So episode 2 of the 8 Below podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And when I said first podcast, I actually mean the first podcast of Call of Duty, and I'm extremely excited to be talking about none other than Call of Duty here with all of you tonight. It's going to be a really big night, I should say. I'm really excited about this podcast and talking about everything in the world of Call of Duty. So, you guys, I want to say thank you so much for the recent support I've been getting on the 8 Below podcast. We did our very first episode talking about Gears of War 4, as well as Gears 5, mainly with the focal point, talking about just Gears of War as a whole. Now we're going to be doing Call of Duty, and as I said, everyone, just as a quick reminder, and I'll probably be doing this pretty consistently, at least for the first few weeks of the podcast, we are going to be doing 4 games in particular when we're talking about just everything in the world of esports and gaming and such, but the 4 main games of interest are going to be Gears of War, Call of Duty, StarCraft, and Fortnite. So those are the 4 games that are going to be the kind of the pivotal, I guess you could say, points of interest in our podcast, or my podcast, which is, of course, 8 Below. And I'm extremely excited about tonight. We're going to be talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 4, some of the really interesting things going on there. They have some, of course, new additions to the game, some new updates, which I'm really excited to talk to you all about. And then also, later on, I want to talk a little bit about the future of Call of Duty moving forward. So we're just going to jump right into this thing, talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and, let's start off with a little bit of some esports stuff. Obviously, we had the very first event, MLG Vegas, which I thought was an absolutely fantastic event. I thought MLG did an incredible job hosting the very first of the kind of like of the next season of Call of Duty in Black Ops 4. And just my personal opinion, everyone, just my personal opinion. This game, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, somehow, some way, is just consistently doing so. It just feels like the Call of Duty Black Ops, sub-series of Call of Duty has just been so far and away better than the other games as of late, I should say. I mean, that's really something that I've been kind of paying a lot of attention to as you've been looking at all the games in Call of Duty that have been coming out. We've had some very inconsistent Call of Duties where it really felt like Activision Blizzard had lost touch with the community, and now it feels like at long last, everything is kind of coming back around, and Activision Blizzard is kind of, or I should really say Activision in this standpoint, but Activision's really trying to gain the trust of us as players and consumers, and so that's really exciting stuff. And Call of Duty Black Ops, this, franchise is obviously the biggest in Call of Duty, and it's definitely run by some of the best people in the entire industry. David Vonderhaar, absolute kudos to this guy for just bringing us such another fun-filled game that has just so much, there's so much content that can be made around it, and so much excitement and fun that you can really have around Call of Duty Black Ops 4, between zombies, between Blackout, as well as the multiplayer. There is just so much that you can, that you really can take in, and that kind of gets us into the whole esports side. And what I was saying at first was, obviously MLG Vegas was very good, in my personal opinion, but I really think that this sets it up for a really successful year of esports in the Call of Duty, space at least. I think that it's a really good setup point for Call of Duty, and I think we're going to have a fantastic year. Fantastic 2019 up and coming now in Call of Duty. I think it's going to be incredible, and I thought it was amazing, the narrative where, Optic had its worst year ever as an organization in the Call of Duty space, and they all of a sudden come out and they show everyone what they're made of in Black Ops 4, and they already win the first event, and that was absolutely incredible. So, spoiler alert for those of you who did not know, I would expect most of you who are watching this know what happened as far as CWL Vegas goes. But I gotta say, there are other teams that I'm really surprised, and I'm really looking at E United, and I know they were in the grand finals of the CWL in Vegas. But I'm really expecting a lot from them this upcoming year. I think they're going to be a really tough team, as the game kind of progresses. I'm surprised in FaZe. I thought FaZe was going to be a lot better, and they seem to, I don't know, not be quite as good as I was expecting FaZe to be. Now, this is the first event, so, the game is new. A lot of people and players are still trying to kind of figure out how other teams are playing and how other teams are strategizing. So it's kind of obvious to me as far as that's concerned. But I really think the future of Black Ops 4, as far as the esports side of things, is going to be incredible. I really think we're going to have one of the best years in Call of Duty, because let's go back here in time. So, as I said, guys, in my very first podcast, I told you all it started with Gears of War for me, and then it moved into Call of Duty. I got into CoD 4, which was, the first Call of Duty I really put a lot of time and effort into, which was COD 4, Modern Warfare. And I thought that game was just absolutely spectacular. It was the best game at the time, in my opinion, as far as graphics, as far as the story went in the campaign mode. Just a lot of great things there. Well, then moving forward, Modern Warfare 2 comes out, and boy, did that ever steal my heart, man, as far as a gamer is concerned. That was a game I put so much time into. That was probably the second or third most time played that I ever had in a video game to date. I put so much time into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and I thought it was just absolutely incredible. I got into the sniping part of things when everybody else, when there was a lot of, trick shot teams, sniping teams out there. That's when I really got into sniping, and I never looked back. I really enjoyed sniping in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and that was even elevated even more when Black Ops 2 came out. So, Black Ops 1 I thought was great. As far as, with the esports side of things, as well as just, the content side as well. And then Black Ops 2, when that came out, man, that was, in my opinion, the best game ever in the Call of Duty franchise, and it still has not been touched to this day. But anyways, then we had, we of course, you get Ghost, and you have, there's a couple of other decent games in there, MW3, but then you got Advanced Warfare, which changed up everything about Call of Duty. And it wasn't just that they had decided to take one leap of faith with a futuristic kind of game, taking a completely new approach to Call of Duty. They decided to do that 3 times in a row. Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3, these were all games where they completely changed everything about Call of Duty, in my eyes, by making those 3 games, with the jetpacks and the boots in the air instead of boots on the ground. And I think that really it made a lot of players and creators and just, I guess you're just casual gamers, ended up leaving the Call of Duty scene completely to try and play other games. And, a lot of us, we really couldn't blame them. Really, and I couldn't blame them either. I stuck around Call of Duty because I have been a massive fan of, Activision and Blizzard as, the best developer, in my opinion, in the world. And I've just believed. I have believed in this company for so long. And I felt that at some point or another, they're going to turn the ship and go in the right direction that the rest of the community wants. And they finally did that with World War II, even though it wasn't the best as far as, esports goes. It wasn't, the best game ever made or anything along those lines. But it really had some really good qualities to it, where it showed that Activision was really trying to turn the ship for us. And then you get Black Ops 4, which I believe, guys, has been the best game that, once again, hit my pop filter. Gosh. Anyways, the second time I've done that, in this podcast, in these podcasts. But anyways, I really felt that in Black Ops 4, this is the best game we have had since maybe Call of Duty Ghosts, maybe even Black Ops 2, maybe MW3. It's hard to say. I think Black Ops 4, in my opinion, is the second best Call of Duty to Black Ops 2. And actually, I should say third, because I got to put Modern Warfare 2 there, right behind Black Ops 2. So let's say it's top 3 all-time Call of Duty, top 3. That is a huge improvement from what we've had here, the past 4 years, okay? So I think that the future of Black Ops 4 is going to be great moving into 2019, which I think is going to be a massive year for Call of Duty. Now, let's talk about, Black Ops 4 is the tip of the iceberg, in my opinion. I think that this is going to lead into so many other things, which I will get into here shortly. And guys, by the way, you're going to be able to expect Call of Duty-based podcasts pretty much every week. So, like I said, guys, between Gears of War, Call of Duty, StarCraft 2, and Fortnite, you're going to be able to see consistent content out of all 4 of those games, for the most part on a weekly basis, which I am extremely excited about. And I can't wait to continue, keeping you guys updated. And just so you guys know the simple layout of the show, at least right now, probably for the first couple of weeks, it's just going to be me on the podcast. But eventually I'm going to start hosting some guest stars on the show and, get some other opinions other than my own so that it doesn't really get stale. But the basic gist of it is, guys, is we start off by just talking a little bit about, a specific topic on one of these games. Then we get into some news that's happened that week in the specific game. So in this particular instance, we're going to be talking about some Call of Duty based news, and then of course we wrap up with maybe one more topic at the end of the show. So generally speaking, these podcasts are going to go about an hour, usually not much over that. So that's something that you can kind of expect as well. But nonetheless, we are going to be doing this on a very consistent basis, which I've been planning on doing this for a long time. So very exciting stuff. Anyways, so let's get back to talking about Black Ops 4, the future of Call of Duty. I really think, guys, that even though this has been something I've wanted to talk about for a little while, and I've been kind of waiting to be able to talk about this in a podcast, the one of the big things for me, at least with Call of Duty Black Ops 4, was them taking away a campaign-based mode. And guys, I will tell you this right now. I'm similar to Team Martin in this instance, and Team Martin, guys, was probably one of the biggest creators based around Call of Duty for a very long time, and I think just, there was a lot of, backlash and so on and so forth with him that I think kind of over time, he just kind of, was drawn away from Call of Duty and moved on to Fortnite and other games, and no one can really blame him for that. I certainly cannot blame him for that, but anyways, here's what I will say. He, as far as Call of Duty is concerned, in the grand scheme of all that we're talking about here, this is a game that without a campaign mode, I think it worked out actually pretty well. And as I was saying, I'm similar to Team Martin in the aspect that I would always play every single time I got a copy of Call of Duty, which I pretty much got it opening day, opening night, whatever you want to call it. I would always play the campaign first. That was the first thing I would do. And I usually what I did was I would play maybe a few missions of the campaign, then I would go on to, maybe zombies mode or multiplayer, and I would kind of switch it up a little bit, but I always played the campaign, and I usually just grinded that out and tried to beat it in, 5 or 6 hours, however long it generally would take me. And I gotta say, not having a campaign mode in Black Ops 4 really hurt. It hurt a lot, for me at least, because I'm someone who absolutely loves campaigns, and the Black Ops campaigns have historically been one of the best, if not the best, in the entire franchise. Now, I think Modern Warfare, that franchise, has had a little bit of a better story than Black Ops, because Black Ops always kind of took a little bit more of a futuristic approach, whereas Modern Warfare was more of a modern, kind of gritty, kind of story. It was just really more gritty, and that's what I really liked about Modern Warfare. But Black Ops had the second best, in my opinion, as far as the campaign is concerned, and I always loved playing them. Now, I totally understand the reasoning for Treyarch saying, okay, we're not going to do a campaign mode this year, And I think, you know, the main reasoning for that was so they could focus on the Battle Royale mode, which is Blackout, as well as, you know, the multiplayer and the zombies, and just be fully focused on those instead of the campaign, which is going to take a lot of time from, you know, away from working on other projects and such. And the campaign modes, you know, not that they're not popular, but some people don't even play the campaigns. And it's unfortunate that we've gotten to this point where it's all about multiplayer, because I think there's something about telling a story through, you know, through video games, and it's an absolutely incredible thing. It's so much fun. It's instead of watching a movie, it feels like you're playing in that movie. You are, you know, taking over for this, you know, these characters and such. And I think there's just so much to that. And I think, you know, we'll make a podcast probably at some point or another talking just about that alone. But so that really hurt, guys. As a whole, it really hurt, you know, not having a campaign mode in Call of Duty Black Ops 4. But I will say this. The Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and what they decided to do instead, which was a Battle Royale mode, and, you know, obviously putting all that time and effort into, you know, and all their focus on the multiplayer, the Blackout, as well as the zombies, I think actually worked out pretty well for them. I really do. I think it worked out well, and I am okay with it because Blackout is so good. It is so good. I really enjoy Blackout. You know, there's little bugs and things that need to be fixed up every so often. We're going to be talking about one of the updates that came out for Blackout. But I really do enjoy Blackout as a whole. I think it's a great game mode, and the multiplayer itself, I absolutely love the multiplayer. I love it, guys. Like I said, the third best multiplayer in my opinion in the entire Call of Duty series. You know, right behind Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 2, you got Black Ops 4, and that's saying something. You know, this far out, and you know, we can always say that, oh yeah, Call of Duty is the same every single year. They change things though this year for us in a good way, not in a way where it was like so futuristic where you had jetpacks and stuff like that. It was more, we are boots on the ground. It's a little bit futuristic, but you also get a Blackout Battle Royale mode with a consistently evolving map that's constantly changing as we go, and we're going to talk about that here very shortly as well. So let's go ahead and let's talk about a few of these things that kind of that are somewhat, you know, changing, or, you know, I think that this is going to be absolutely crucial and really huge in the grand scheme of things, guys. So let's talk about these things. The Blackout update. So new vehicle, new area, new look. It's a whole new day in Blackout. So this is what's so cool about this Operation Absolute Zero, which of course was going to be one of the big drops that came out here. It came out for PlayStation 4 currently. It hasn't come out on Xbox or any other platform as of yet, but it starts on PlayStation 4, and that's simply because as a lot of you probably already know, that Activision has a partnership right now with PlayStation 4. I think it ends after this Call of Duty, so maybe Microsoft will take over, or Xbox will take over for next year, and everything will come, all the first updates will come out on Xbox first moving forward for a few years, but it's kind of gone back and forth over the years. But anyways, so Operation Absolute Zero doesn't just drop in a new specialist to Call of Duty Black Ops 4. We've got a whole mess of updates, Blackout updates now and in the near future. So you drop into Blackout's newest destination, which is Hijacked. Yes, guys, the classic Hijacked from none other than Black Ops 2. This Black Ops 2 luxury yacht is anchored just off the coast, ready to board. While exploring what's on deck, clear the craft of enemies and gear up for the final circle. And that's what I gotta say, guys, I love that they added Hijacked. And this is what is so exciting about this. Having Hijacked and adding that to the map really it proves the point that the map, the Blackout map, is going to be a consistently evolving organism that is constantly changing, similar to maybe other Battle Royale games like Fortnite. And that's what is exciting about this, because it's a Call of Duty game that is evolving and changing over the course of weeks, and that's what's going to be so awesome about Blackout. And even the multiplayer, they've had a lot of patches and fixes and such to the multiplayer as well. So I think it's very exciting, definitely, to say the least. And you got to say for sure though that Activision and Treyarch They definitely got this idea from none other than Fortnite, which we'll be talking about here shortly. You know, in the upcoming podcast, we'll be talking about some Fortnite and just how they have changed the industry completely, and it's in a very good way. In a very good way. So here we go. You know, there's a new vehicle spawning throughout the Blackout map, the ARAV, armored and equipped with a turret-mounted machine gun for maximum suppression. This lethal hunk of mobile devastation can plow through stoutly defended enemy positions and take a good amount of damage in the process. So I have actually not jumped on the ARAV quite yet. Guys, I actually don't use a lot of the vehicles unless I'm really far outside of the circle. I like to just be on foot, on my boots on the ground, running around, trying to find a sniper rifle and sniping people. That's what I really find a lot of fun in Blackout, and doing that with my friends is definitely some of the most fun that you'll have on in a Call of Duty, man. That's what the experience is. It's playing with your friends, similar to other games like Fortnite. And for a limited time, winter has swept through Blackout and left behind a dusting of snow in the mountains and seasonal decor across the landscape. But this holiday upgrade isn't purely decorative. Coming soon, you'll find piles of snowballs throughout Blackout that you're free to pick up and whip at unsuspecting foes with abandon. Each snowball deals a small amount of damage that makes for a festive, freezing final blow to a downed opponent. So just like really cool little additions, right? You know, a lot of other games are doing similar things, like, you know, they're trying to kind of have that like festive spirit, and you know, with the snow in the mountains and all of that. I think that's really cool for Blackout to do that. And like I said, this is what we were all waiting for, a game that had a battle royale type of game in Call of Duty, and it's consistently evolving, and that is just incredible, man. I mean, absolutely awesome. So okay, so as I said, guys, that is pretty much the information based around Blackout, right? And so now I want to talk a little bit, about Operation Absolute Zero. And this is, it says, that it, introduces that Operation Absolute Zero, as I said, introduces an all new specialist, Zero, as well as Hijacked, which we just talked about. As I said, it starts on, the PlayStation 4 first. That's what, it came out for first here on the 11th. So about a week ago, it came out. Now, new operation and new weapons. And by the way, Operation Absolute Zero, let's just say, they've been trying to take my name. I mean, I should have some like trademark on Zero or something. I mean, come on now. Operation Absolute Zero, it actually sounds absolutely awesome. So, that being said, here we go. Operation Absolute Zero revamps the black market with tons of new items available for all players to unlock throughout the season, including new weapons, Blackout characters, epic outfits, a Mastercraft, and more. Plus a limited edition holiday special event. Okay, we already talked about that. Notably, a few new weapons join the Black Ops 4 lineup. The SWAT RFT is a well-rounded assault rifle that deals reliable damage and never lets you down in a fight. So, yes, I got to agree. The SWAT RFT, I don't know what everyone else's opinions are on different guns. The way I see it, guys, is, I know when it comes down to it, when we're talking about burst firing, or if we're talking about, an AR, SMG, whatever it is, there's so many different nitty-gritty details that a lot of people, really pay so much attention to, like this does, this much more damage than this gun. Personally, guys, I like using a lot of the weapons. I mean, I'm usually using the ARs as well as the SMGs, but overall, for the most part, I use the sniper rifles. I just really enjoy the sniper rifles, so I don't usually touch a lot of the ARs as well as, some of these SMGs, but anyways, it's still really cool that they're consistently, join that Black Ops 4 lineup, to say the least. So, if we talk about the next gun, the Damon 3XB is a fast burst-firing SMG to take down enemies in quick succession. You can also take a festive stab at the opposition with the Secret Santa melee weapon. If you're looking for new Blackout characters, you can't go wrong dropping into these zombie-infested hotspots with the original Slayers of the Undead, which is awesome, Nikolai and Dempsey. Really sick. Step into battle, ready to freeze out the competition with new weapons, characters, a mastercraft, epic outfits, and more. And so, I gotta say, guys, overall, Operation Absolute Zero is pretty awesome. I gotta say, it's pretty cool. I think that the coolest thing, in my opinion, is at least the addition in Blackout of Hijacked. I think that's probably that tops everything easily for me. I think it's cool that they're adding things to the black market. I have issues with the black market simply because, it's another way, of course, of all these microtransactions, and I understand it, man. I really do. As an investor, as somebody who understands, for the most part, how a lot of these companies work and make money, I get the reasoning for microtransactions. It's just kind of unfortunate that you got to pay $60 for the game, and sometimes even more if you get some other limited edition copy. And then on top of that, if you want to get some of these different characters and outfits and such, you got to pay extra money. I get it though; it's optional. It's not like you have to do it. But, it would be kind of cool if these were more like unlockables from the standpoint of, if I just grind hard enough, I can pretty much unlock essentially everything on my own, not having to buy all this stuff. Because that's really what, like, if you look at what Call of Duty was built on, and let's just go back to Modern Warfare 2, right? Everyone wanted the 10th Prestige medallion. Everyone wanted it. And it was, basically unlocking all of the different challenges for, I believe it was it for all of the kill streaks? I think it was. It was something, it was a lot of work. It was a grind to get it. Legitimately, I know there was a lot of hackers out there that were getting it. But those were the things that were really exciting, was grinding for something. Now everyone doesn't really care about grinding. They just want to have different cosmetic items that mean absolutely nothing, and they want to show those off to their friends and such. And I get that, but I personally think it was a lot cooler to really grind for something. I think it brought so many people on the games, playing those games consistently, years after the game came out. And that's what I think made a really good Call of Duty. I felt like the exact same way about Black Ops 2. Not quite as much as MW2. I felt MW2 had something very special. Whereas, in Black Ops 2, it was a little bit different. People wanted to get to the Prestige Master, but didn't care quite as much. I know Black Ops 1, everyone wanted to get to the 15th Prestige to have the moving title the first time we had seen that. Now these games are littered with all that stuff, the moving titles, the moving emblems. It's just not as special as it used to be, unfortunately, but that's probably just someone who's a little bit picky about it because back in the day, those meant so much to the Call of Duty scene. It was something that everybody was grinding for. And now, there's really no reason to Prestige, in my opinion, Black Ops 4. There's no reason for it. I don't see any reason at all to Prestige other than to say that I Prestige and I don't get any, it's not like I get new weapons or I get other skins or anything along those lines, or any new emblems or anything really cool. Now, maybe they're going to add things along the way as we go, but I got to say, as of right now, why would I Prestige on Black Ops 4? What is really to do that other than that, oh yeah, the Prestige emblems look sick. Yeah, sure, they do. They look cool, but it's a little tiny emblem, and it's next to my title. It's nothing, super... it's nothing, really special that means I earn this over time from playing the game and just grinding. I think more so than anything, it shows when you're grinding, when you're getting those diamond camos or you're getting all these, the black matter or dark matter or whatever. Those are the things that really matter now, and you can do that without prestiging. So, that's the only thing. I would love to hear from you guys and let me know what you all think about prestiging and the cosmetic items now in Call of Duty, as it's been, for the past few years, at least with cosmetic items. Kind of, do you all feel the same way about, I guess, unlocking items? Have we lost what really was exciting about unlocking things in Call of Duty? That's, I guess, a discussion for another day. Maybe when we have a guest star on the show and we can, have someone else to talk to about and get a second opinion. But with that being said, everybody, so Operation Absolute Zero, I truly believe that this is going to be a I really do think it's a overall fantastic hijacked. You brought that into Blackout. That is, you got my support 1,000%, 1,000%. So that's really exciting, guys. I think there's going to be a lot of up and coming obvious updates that are going to be coming to Blackout, as well as to the multiplayer. I think the big questions are, what would I like changed about Blackout? And not that there's anything absolutely substantial about Blackout that I would like to be changed. I really feel, though, that personally I would like them to take, I know they've already taken a lot of pages out of the Fortnite book, but I would have to say, one thing I love about Fortnite is when you kill somebody in that game, they drop all their loot, and you get to see exactly all the loot that's just laying there, and you can kind of pick and choose what you want. Whereas in Blackout, you got to, open up the bag, you got to look at and see what's inside of the bag, and you kind of have to pick and choose what you want from there. And sometimes that can take a lot of, that can take up some time, and then if there's someone near you, you have no chance whatsoever of survival. So I think, personally, I would like a system where everything gets dropped, and you can kind of like pick and choose what you want to pick up, and I think that's absolutely awesome. I'm thinking maybe even something along the lines of like even like CSGO. So CSGO came out with a Battle Royale mode, and I watched some people playing that game, and I felt like the exact same, I feel like it was, a lot of this stuff was a little bit more organized in the standpoint where you didn't have to open up a bag necessarily. You could kind of like just like pick up things. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but from what it looked like to me, it seemed like a Fortnite type of idea, whereas everything you can kind of like pick and choose the things that you want to pick up. So that's kind of a nitpicky thing about Blackout. I gotta say that they've nailed it, though. 100% with this mode. I think that they've done an incredible job, because this could have been a game mode that could have gone one of two ways. It could have been absolutely terrible, or it could have been absolutely incredible. And I think it went the latter way, where it was an absolutely incredible addition to Call of Duty. And now, here's the big question, guys. Here's the massive question. Is when the next Call of Duty comes out, and this will bring us into the future of Call of Duty, as far as what is going to happen when the next Call of Duty comes out. And we don't know what the next COD is. There was talk of it being Modern Warfare 4, which I think personally would be the best decision by Activision to make a Modern Warfare 4, make it that gritty feel again. What happens to the Blackout map when Modern Warfare 4 supposedly comes out next year? Do they add on to the Blackout map and just have some like new Modern Warfare based, areas like, I don't know, high rise, or are they going to add on to the map, or are they going to have a map of their own? Because see, here's where we get into some tricky things, guys. And this is what makes me a little bit concerned about the Call of Duty, future. So if you have another Battle Royale mode, and it's on a completely separate map, you're essentially separating that fan base again. You're basically separating the Call of Duty fan base all over again. So let's not even talk about, how a lot of these new DLC that come out that aren't free, right? That separates the community as it is, because some people get the DLC, then others do not get it. And I understand they want to make that money, but in order to really keep those players coming back and really building, I believe that you need to make the DLC free for everyone. It's going to keep everyone together, keep the community together. So now we get to the Blackout. And are we going to get a similar situation where it's going to be two separate maps, and then three with the next Call of Duty that comes out from Sledgehammer, and then, we go through the whole cycle all over again? It's hard to say, but I gotta say, Black Ops 4 and Treyarch called the map Blackout. So in my opinion, most likely, if it was going to be more of a name based around all of Call of Duty, it probably wouldn't have been called Blackout. It probably would have been called something else. Something that kind of represented all of the properties within Call of Duty, not just Black Ops 4. So in my personal opinion, I believe full-heartedly that that Modern Warfare 4, if let's say that's the next game that comes out, is going to be a completely new map when it comes to the Battle Royale mode. And that's unfortunate because that's going to split up the community once again. Unless, it's a different map, but it's in the same world as Blackout, which I think is kind of something that would be obvious. It would make sense, but it's like somewhere else. And, I don't know how they would work it. But I really think that they need to, if it were up to me, I would say, kind of move off of what you did in Blackout and have those consistent updates between both properties, both IPs. So if Treyarch's updating the Blackout map, it updates directly to the Modern Warfare 4 servers, and the same, vice versa. If MW4 updates new things to the Blackout map, it kind of Treyarch knows about it, or it updates on both ends, right? And I think that would be something that would be really cool. But it's hard to say how it's going to work out. As I said, it's probably going to be a completely new map, and I think that's going to kind of separate the entire community. I just do. I mean, unless they decide, Blackout, if they decide to keep going with this every year, a new Call of Duty, they can just consistently, as each Blackouts comes out, or every Treyarch game that comes out every 3 years, they can just kind of consistently update Blackout if that's kind of the plan. It's hard to say, guys. It's really hard to say how they're going to do this, but I would have to say probably all three of the companies working on Call of Duty, so Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch, are probably all going to make their own separate maps. I think that's probably what we can expect, and I don't necessarily think that's a good thing, but I guess only time is going to tell what the plan is. But what we do know is that we got a Battle Royale Call of Duty, and it's absolutely awesome, and it provides hours upon hours of playing. And when you get sick of Blackout, you can move into you can move into the multiplayer or into the zombies, which I've never really been a zombies person, guys. I've never been really into zombies for one reason or another. I don't know if it's just me. I just really haven't. But I gotta say that from what I've heard from other friends of mine that play it, and from watching a little bit of some gameplay, I gotta say it looks pretty awesome. It looks like a lot of fun. So very, good things are happening all around for Call of Duty. In my personal opinion, I think there's very good things happening, and it's exciting. It really is. There's a lot going on, and time will tell. Let's put it that way. Time is gonna tell what all we're gonna, what we should be expecting here, because we're probably gonna be hearing about the next Call of Duty. We'll probably start getting some previews of it, next spring, maybe even before that, just depending. I do have a lot of hopes for the next Call of Duty, and if it is Modern Warfare 4, I think it's going to be absolutely, I think it could really 100% put Call of Duty back on the map as like one of the top games, if not the top game in all of gaming. Even though we have Fortnite right now, which is of course the biggest game out there, and you got League of Legends, you got CS:GO, but Call of Duty is kind of at that doorstep. They're knocking right now. They're kind of knocking at the doorstep to get into, the top games once again in the world, which of course Call of Duty is pretty much the best-selling game ever, right behind GTA. But this is a game and a franchise that year after year has done, very well when it comes to sales. So there's no reason for them to ever stop making Call of Duty. One thing I do want to, talk about, though, is should Call of Duty go into a cycle of making one game every 3 years? And I've seen a lot of people make podcasts about this, talking about, should Call of Duty go on a 3 year on a 3 year type of cycle where you get one Call of Duty every 3 years, and you have all three of the developers working on one game at the same time. So you got Treyarch, Infinity Ward, and Sledgehammer all working together to make the same property. I think that is something to definitely think about, because instead of getting a mediocre Call of Duty every year, you could get an absolutely incredible Call of Duty every 3 years. And let's just talk about, an example of this would be like Gears of War. Okay, so Gears of War, they, historically have made a new Gears of War pretty much like every 3 years or so, maybe even 4 years. And when the next Gears comes out, it's usually really good in all phases of it, whether it's the multiplayer, the campaign, if they have a horde mode, and I think that is something that you really can look forward to. And then, okay, I don't have to rush it. I'm going to have this game for 3 years and I'm going to play it. I can get to the top re-up in multiplayer in 3 years. I can beat all the waves in horde mode. I can, beat the campaign at my own pace, and I can beat it a few times on different difficulties. Whereas with Call of Duty, you can do that, of course, as well, but you have 1 year and then you do it all over again. There's not really any break time. I think of a game like StarCraft, and I love StarCraft 2, one of my top 3 games all time. And, StarCraft comes out pretty much every 10 years. I mean, you get a new StarCraft like every 10 years. So StarCraft 1 came out basically about 20 years ago. You had StarCraft 2 is going on the 10-year anniversary. I mean, it's going to be 9 years up and coming here. But so we're going to probably be expecting, most likely, a StarCraft 3 in the next few years. And so, but you have all that time to grind and get better at the game and just absolutely just fall in love with the franchise or just the game itself. And they're just constantly updating that game and making it, and the community's helping make it bigger and bigger. And I think that would be something that Call of Duty would really benefit from. But maybe that's just me. I don't know, guys. I mean, we'll have to see as time goes, really what's going to be the plan. What's the plan for Call of Duty moving forward? Are we gonna see more of the same as far as just every year Call of Duty? Or are we gonna get some changes at some point or another? It's something that we're definitely gonna have to keep our eyes on, and something that we're just going to have to consistently voice our opinion to the developers, because at some point or another, they will listen to what the community wants. And if the community really wants a Call of Duty every year, they're probably just going to keep making Call of Duties every year. But if you want to have a Call of Duty every few years and just have a really badass Call of Duty each of those years, that's something else that you definitely want to keep mind of, and just something that is definitely good to think about. But with that said, everyone, I want to say thank you so much, as always, for checking out the 8 Below podcast. And I'm really excited about the future, everyone, of the podcast. And as I said, this is my very first episode on talking about Call of Duty and the future Call of Duty, which is extremely bright, and I cannot wait to continue making more and more of these for all of you. I would love to hear your feedback. If you guys want to, you guys can subscribe if you are new. And I hope to speak to as many of you as possible on one of the social medias that I am on, which is Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I want to say thank you once again for checking out the 8 Below podcast. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day or night, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.